Hey everyone, National Master Sean Lei here, and in today's chess video, I'll be doing something a little bit different from my regular instructional educational content. Instead, do something fun that I saw International Master Eric Rosen do a couple weeks ago, and that's a chess survey that shows you which Grandmaster and which strong player in the past you are most similar to. If you guys want to follow along and do your own survey, make sure to look at the links below. I linked it there, and tell me which Grandmaster or which openings you got suggested coming straight up. Alright guys, I'm extremely excited for this survey. I actually enjoy doing surveys like these, so if you guys have any surveys that you guys want me to do myself on for my YouTube videos, make sure to tell me in the comment section below. Now, for me, which master I'm most similar to? Now, I don't know if they have Aaron Nimzovich here, but for me, Aaron Nimzovich is the chess master I worship. He is my aspiration. He is my favorite chess player of all time. But since he wasn't really one of the greats like, Emanuel Lasker, Alekhine, Botnovic, Steinitz, people like that, he's kind of been, forgotten really. So I don't know if I answer these 20 questions, there would be an option to become Aaron Nimzovich. So I'm gonna do the next best thing and do like a modern Aaron Nimzovich with people like Karpov or people like I don't know, like Botnovic. Those players are very strong positional chess players who like to grind out their opponents and basically restrict counterplay before going for their own counterplay. So without further ado, let's do this. Which side would you rather play in the following position? Alright, so looking at this position, this obviously came from a Sicilian defense in which knight d5 happened, and then pawn took, pawn captured, so white sacrificed the piece, but as you guys can see, black's king is still in the center. It looks very dangerous. And so for me, I'm not really an e4 player who plays into open Sicilians, and as you guys know from my speedrun videos and from my, general videos themselves, I'm a super defensive positional player. I hate attacking. My tactics are garbage for people my level. So definitely, I would play the black side. I like to defend, especially since I often play the Sicilian here and there. So definitely black. When you play in tournaments, do you usually score with consistent results, or do you often perform in the extremes, either really well or really poorly? So for me, I'm always in the middle of the pack. I draw won positions, I draw lost positions, I draw and drawn positions. If you look at my scores in the past, most of them are just draws. Doesn't matter how strong the opponents are, doesn't matter how weak they are, I just draw. So pretty consistent in those results there, so we'll choose that one. Which best describes how you think about this position in this Sveshnikov Sicilian. So let's now look at the options. So looking at this position, this is one of my favorite positions to actually look at and actually to see, because a lot of people in this position would just argue what is just completely winning here. Because look at black's bad pawn structure, look at that knight, monster knight on d5, but for me I see the opposite. I see in this position, hey, in this position, black has a lot of counterplay, he has a lot of potential, and for me, all my openings are all about potential. The Kali Zucator, the Philidor especially. In the Philidor, if you guys haven't checked out my series on that, I definitely recommend it. But in the Philidor, you have some very garbage pieces to begin with. This bishop is even worse than this bishop over here, and this bishop's even worse than the bishops over here. But what happens later on is the pieces unlock the potential, and they're able to break out. And so in this position, black has given up a critically important square. True. Black has lots of potential counterplay with the bishop pair, and definitely the potential. I'm all about that potential in chess. I love potential more than actual real existent advantage. Which statement is closer to the truth? I bring my best game when I'm facing opponents I dislike. I don't really notice my opponent. Now in a couple of days I'll be releasing a video in which I talk about my worst best game I've ever played against a FIDE master who is now an international master. And in that game I was worrying too much during that game about how my opponent's just way better than me, there's no way I could win, and then so I resigned in a position in which I was completely dominant and winning. But I didn't realize that the case because I thought my opponent had to be better than me. He knew what he was doing, so I had to have been lost. So since then, I learned from that mistake, and I don't really notice my opponents anymore. I just play my best, and that's all I can do. And I know that's all I can do, so I don't really notice my opponent there. Black has just played g5. Your first instinct is to, obviously, bishop g3, right? Now, I can imagine it's probably asking whether or not I'll take on g5, but it looks kind of risky. So let's see what the options are. Take on g5, yep, or retreat to g3. As you guys saw, my first instinct was to go bishop g3, obviously. I am not an attacking player. Tactics are not my forte. So, however, I do see what the idea is. Knight takes here, bishop takes, and you have like e4, rook g3. You have pieces moving to the king side, and it could be worth it. It might not be worth it, who knows. But definitely retreat to g3. Do you play gambits? I do, but I don't think that's what this question is really asking. It's asking, do I play like the King's Gambit, Vienna Gambit, the super aggressive gambits? When in reality, while I don't play those gambits, I play positional gambit, Scotch Gambit, I play the Budapest Gambit, I play the Benko Gambit, I play the Wings Gambit. I play these very positional gambits that aren't really considered aggressive, but more positional. But the answer is technically yes, all right, yes. How do you think about whether or not to take on g5? Ooh, it's really wanting me to take on g5. So it would say, so I would evaluate the placement of the pieces to decide if the attack seems promising, or I would calculate several variations to decide if white's attack is strong enough. So in the previous position, I kind of showed you guys what I would do, right? I kind of showed you guys I would just think about whether or not the pieces are good enough. I didn't really go through variations. e4 looks strong, e5 looks strong, my rook on g3 would be pretty strong, the queen on h5 might be pretty strong. So I would just evaluate the placement of the pieces. Under serious time pressure, you're more likely to miss a tactic, move pieces aimlessly. If you guys have seen my speedrun video, especially the last few ones, you guys see that I'm not good under pressure, and that I miss a lot of tactics and things fall apart for me. Definitely miss a tactic. I'm pretty bad at under time pressure, especially during classical games. Which of these ideas do you prefer for white? White should trade bishops and put a strong knight on d4, which will prevent any counterplay from black doubling rooks on the c file by defending c2. That's sounding pretty much me. I do like to trade off my bad pieces for my opponent's good pieces and restrict all counterplay by my opponent. Sounds pretty good to me. White should push d4 temporarily, replacing black's darks. Ooh, d4 looks really ugly to me. Why do you want to play d4? That just locks in your bishop on e3. Oh, it wants you to start an attack with f5? I suppose. But I really like restricting counterplay. I would just take on c5. d4 just looks really ugly positionally, and I do understand the merit of playing f5, f6 ideas, attacking your opponent. That's just not something I'm good at, and not something I would do. So definitely A. Start the game out with d4. Would you rather play your opponent playing d5 or f5? I'm a Kali Zucator player. So f5 is out of the question. I hate playing against it. It's so boring. You offer a draw and move 30, move 40, or move 50, move 60, move 70. Black's not doing anything. You're not doing anything. Just offer a draw. You could just offer a draw and move 1 if they play f5. So definitely love playing against d5 more than f5. Though I like playing against knight f6 even more. So you've been ahead of pawn for most of the game, but after tough resistance from your opponent, you have only 5 minutes left in this position. Should you play on or offer your opponent a draw? You know, my eyes just lit up after hearing the words "offer your opponent a draw." Let me tell you guys a story. So, I was playing in some Chinese University Invitational tournament, and I was playing against the Princeton University team representing University of Toronto. If you guys are from University of Toronto, tell me in the comments. But against Princeton, I was playing in a team of 3 with Chiu Zhou and my friend Tanner McNamara, and so during that tournament, we were 2-0 against Princeton, and my game was the last game. And so I was up a piece, but I asked my coach, who is a good friend of mine, if whether or not I should offer a draw. And he just looked at me with this look of disbelief, and he's like, "Wait, what? Why would you ever offer a draw in this position?" And so I played on and just completely won against my opponent. However, for some reason in my mind, offering a draw just seemed like a thing that I should do. I don't know why. It's just been ingrained in my memory, and it's not a good thing for you guys to do. But for this position, if I'm low on time, and my opponent has counterplay on the queen side over here, I would offer a draw. Doesn't matter. And I would just be like, you know what? Call it a day. Good enough for me. What statement comes closest to your feelings? It's always a joy to be paired with someone you've crushed in the past. The odds of winning are slightly higher against opponent one has previous beating. Both of these are wrong. Both of these are false for me. I hate playing against people I've played in the past, and I definitely do not well against people I've been previously beaten. And the reason why is because a lot of the openings I play myself are really odd openings that most people don't really experience against. So one story I want to tell you guys is back when I was like 1800, 1900, there was a national master at the time who was around 2300 rated that I had to play twice in a very short term. And I beat him in both games. Now, how did I do that, especially at such a low level? Well, the way I did that was I prepared 2 really weird openings against my opponent, who has been a French defense try-hard for his entire life. He's never played any other opening against d4. So so when I played e4, the first time I beat him was with the Wings Gambit. And you might be thinking, wait a second, Sean, the Wings Gambit's a garbage opening. Why in the world were you playing this garbage? Well, the idea is my opponent hasn't seen it before, probably, and so I will gain an advantage that way. And so I won that game pretty easily. But the next game, I had to find some other variation because I couldn't just play e4 against him and just do the Wings Gambit because he was most definitely prepared. So the next time I played some sketchy exchange variation where I played bishop e3 and did some kingside attack and won the game. So I don't know. Let's just go with A. With plenty of time on your clock, what would you do in this position? Trading on e6 and play rook d7 because the endgame is good for white, or redirect the knight to c3 via a4 to preserve the better minor piece. Invest some serious time calculating whether knight takes e6. I have lots of time on the clock. This is almost an endgame. What am I saving the time for? Saving it for next game? Definitely calculate, my friends. What would you think of the famous chess saying chess is 99% tactic? I consider that 110% wrong. Chess is 99% strategy. I don't know whoever said this must have been I don't know whoever said this. It's some propaganda that people have been saying, and I think it actually hinders a lot of beginner players. They just practice tactics and they don't see improvement. And the reason why is because the saying that I think is way better than this one is that tactics flow from a superior position. And how do you get a superior position? From using strategy and good positional play. So definitely disagree with this one. How do you feel about this wild gambit line for black, white to move? What in the world is this? I'm definitely not going to do this. I'm not a gambit player. I don't do tactics like this. So definitely not. After losing a game, have you ever broken something and yelled out loud? Something that's funny about me that a lot of people have noticed is that I'm actually much happier whenever I lose a game. And the reason why is, first of all, my opponents, they don't get too depressed. And that actually usually when people beat me, they're actually very happy. And for me, the only thing that I can benefit from winning a game other than rating points is that my mom doesn't get upset with me. Because she's always like, you always losing games, or drawing games that I won, right? Always blunder. But for me, I'm happier losing a game than actually winning a game. Because when I lose a game, there's actually something you can learn from it. And so that's that. In fact, there's a lot of interesting chess stories I have in this video. But one time, somebody wanted to take a picture with me after he beat me. And because this player was like 1600, I was a national master at the time, and he beat me, he wanted to take a picture so he could frame it so that he could always remember the day he beat a national master. So, at the time it was embarrassing, but thinking back, I made his day, so it was worth it for me. So, definitely not. White to play in castle, kingside, of course. This is actually from a French defense. Exchange variation, not the sketchy variation, but I would definitely just castle kingside. It's safer. Which is closer to the truth? I get excited or nervous before a game. Definitely true. I don't worry about prizes, money, time. Definitely true as well. Ooh, this one's hard. I don't know. One story that I like to talk about a lot, if you guys have seen my streams, if you guys have listened to my other videos, one thing I talk about is how I got my National Master title and why I wanted it. Well, the reason why I got my National Master title was because I really just wanted the National Master title so I could get a free chess.com membership. If you guys didn't know, chess.com gives you a free membership for a lifetime if you're a National Master. So technically I did care about it because I did want the free membership. And I do get excited and nervous before a game. You know what, let's just choose this one still. At this point, I don't really care whether or not I win or lose. I just want to have fun during my chess game, so I'll choose that one. How would you come up with a plan in this position as white? Ooh, this position's looking like a Philidor. So if you guys want to see positions like these a lot, my speedrun videos in the last few days have been like this. And so looking at this position, I'm just thinking a3, b4, and just putting my bishop on b2. Looks like a very nice diagonal for my bishop, and my pieces look very nice. So let's see, consider your strengths and weaknesses of black position and decide where my pieces feel best. Oh, well, I guess I clicked it. So that is what I would probably do. I don't know what the second option was, but that's probably what I would do. Which is harder for you to do, identify my advantages in building a plan. You guys know, positional chess is my forte. I know where my advantages are. If you guys haven't learned about the sweet system yet, definitely recommend you guys learn that. Easiest way to make a plan. And the other one's trade a good position for, oh god. So many positions. I'm +3, +4, I offer a draw because I have no way to continue. In fact, so many games have been drawn because of that. So definitely, I'm good at building positions, terrible at drawing positions. Alright, so I got Vishy Anand and it says I'm just a natural. That's interesting for sure. I didn't expect getting this player because, first of all, I'm not a natural. I'm very bad instinctively. My first tournament I played, all I thought was the 4-move checkmate would be the best opening in the world. It's not. But I can tell. So I'm more of a positional player than an attacking player. I don't know where I got attacking from, but it says I'm completely 100% solid, which makes sense. A solid attacking player. I'm intuitive, makes a lot of sense here. I'm very bad at calculating, and it says I'm very calm in chess, which makes sense as well. So it says, oh, all right. So well-rounded player who seek a healthy initiative, remain in control. All right. So interesting. So let's see the rest of the people actually. So the mastermind. Oh, Alexander Alekhine. I have a lot of respect for this guy because he showed Capablanca that it requires more than just talent to win chess. It requires a lot of practice, requires a lot of effort. So I do appreciate Alekhine. All right. The magician has to be tall, right? Yep, it's tall. Tall the magician. Definitely not me. Everything's on the left side over here. He's emotional, not me. Attacking, not me. Aggressive, not me as well. The mad scientist. Ooh, the mad scientist. Is this Nimzovich? Because Nimzovich created a lot of different openings. So, is this him? No, it's Steinitz. Steinitz, the first world champion, I think, right? Yep, he is the first world champion. I guess it makes sense he's a mad scientist because he created basically a lot of the concepts that we didn't even know back in the day. The grinder. Oh, who's the grinder? Magnus Carlsen? Oh, Karpov's the grinder. How didn't I get grinder? Well, I was close actually. Everything was basically here. Well, no, it says it's aggressive positional player. That's interesting. Tell me in the comment section below, what's the difference between attacking, aggressive, and positional solid? Seems very similar, I'm not gonna lie. So, how can you be positional but aggressive and attacking but solid? Whatever. Alright, the genius, Capablanca. Again, he's the one who basically said that he didn't study much chess. All he did was show talent, and basically he had like some divine being helping him whenever he played chess. So, not my favorite chess player. I believe that hard work should always trump over just talent. The escape artist, Korchnoi. Alright, interesting. The champion, Garry Kasparov, makes a lot of sense. He's attacking solid. So he's an attacking solid. That's interesting. I mean, I guess solid is if your moves are good. And then Garry Kasparov always made good moves. He's so good at calculating. If you guys haven't checked out his Immortal game, definitely check it out. And Emotional makes sense. Barbarian, Nakamura makes sense. Assassin, Robert Fischer. No. Nimzovich did exist here. Huh. I'm very surprised why he's here, because he wasn't a world champion and he really wasn't considered, among the greats like Lasker, Alekhine, and people like that. But he was here and I didn't get him? Was that Aaron Nimzovich, an emotional player? I don't think so. I think he was pretty calm. And he's not aggressive, he's solid. Huh. Very interested. I've analyzed all of Aaron Nimzovich's games, or at least his popular ones. And I have to say, he's very solid in positional player. So, I'm very disappointed. My heart is broken here, guys. But it seems to me the peaceful on exterior, kind of like me, but something menacing within, positional squeeze. Those are my favorite positions. Oh well. Alright, so the next one's Technician. You know what? I wanted Vladimir Kramnik as well. He's probably one of my favorite modern players. He's also somebody who just grinds your opponent out. And so this is technically, I think, the one I would have gotten, because I'm definitely not an attacking player. I don't know what options I suggested that showed I was an attacking player. But I'm definitely a positional player. So I think this was the one that's most similar, which is better fit for me than instead of Anand. I think Anand is just... he's a good player, and it's just too good for me. And he has a lot of talent, which I don't have. Alright, Surgeon's Lasker, makes sense. The Romantic, Ivanchuk. I'll actually put Paul Morphy here as well. The Professional, Botnevig, very good. Another one of my aspirations. Instead of intuitive, though, he's calculating, so this one's pretty close to me as well. Prodigy, Magnus Carlsen, Vishy, and the Natural, which was me. So tell me in the comment section below. This was extremely fun for me. I want to see what you guys got and whether or not you agree with your results. Tell me in the comment section below. If you guys have any questions, make sure to like and subscribe, and make sure to get to those straight away. See you guys in the next video. Bye.